What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Corbin, the Serpent Tongue Skipwith, and I am here with a very special guest who wants to introduce himself.
What's going on, everybody? Wes Nihil, Wes Nihilistic, razor blade hand grenade, real deal hip hop worldwide.
Thank you for taking time to come onto this interview.
Of course, thank you for having me.
All good. All right, so let's start from the beginning, the place where I like to start every interview. Where did you get your love for music from? Where did that start in your life?
I believe at a very young age, it started with my uncle. He would play old school punk rock and old school rock and roll records for me. And also being from an urban area, a lot of influences of hip hop as well, hearing it bump out of people's cars. And also, back in the 90s, late 90s is a huge MTV, of course, insurgence with music videos. So that being all a mixture of all the different realms, I picked up on a lot of the hip hop and the rock and roll at a very young age.
Nice. So going from there, at what point in your life did you decide to take music seriously for a living?
I believe it was when I put out the first demo that was leading up to Real Music for Real People. As far as the hip hop realm goes, that was in the last 7 years. And previous to that, I believe it was early 2000s with Razor Blade, where we started to, it was sort of like, I was very into hip hop at the time, transitioning back and forth from hip hop to hardcore, but I'm jumping around a little too much. But, we started taking the hardcore stuff more serious in the early 2000s when we put out our first demo, Living Life. And it popped off pretty hard and kind of went viral at the time. And there was a lot of kids in the streets that knew us, a lot of people at shows that knew who we were. And, same thing moving forward with the hip hop stuff. In the last 7 years, 8 years, I started doing it a little harder. Ezak got a copy of my demo and told the homie Joe Good things like, Wes could do this professionally. Shortly after, took me on tour to Europe, and the rest was history. We came back and dropped that album.
Nice. So I was wondering if we could take a bit of time to talk about the EP, The West Story.
Oh yeah, the West Side Story. That's that. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, So can you tell the people watching at home, just a little bit behind the scenes, how long it took for production, how long did it take to write the lyrics, the songs?
It was all pretty much like off the cuff, to be honest with you. I clicked up with Berserk. Shout out to Berserk from Il Supreme, Supreme Corps Records out of Massachusetts. I met him through Ezak, actually, and he just sent me a whole gang of beats, and we started recording over the process of probably a year and a half. And I went originally to Massachusetts and recorded a couple rough demo tracks, which later became part of the album. And yeah, it was just kind of at the time, just I was transitioning with the different types of rap formats, and we did the Crimson Twins before that, so I was just in the groove, and I just kind of wrote a lot of the stuff on the spot when I went up there, and we pieced it together. And it's very much a street rock and roll, hip hop, hardcore, gangster type of vibe. And we just kind of released that just to get it out, just to keep stuff rolling. And we had obviously some videos to lead up with that songs, and they did pretty well.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good EP. When I was doing my research on you by listening to the material, the one thing that came to my mind, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but to my ears, you have a very strong Cypress Hill vibe. I get a real be real type of energy from you, which I think is really cool.
That's what Sick Jackin was saying when we were on tour. He goes, he's like, you're real dope, man. He goes, your voice has got that be real vibe. We said the same thing. Yeah, I was a huge Cypress Hill fan growing up as a kid. So I guess that entangled with my West Coast, East Coast flavor, Yeah.
To me, it's definitely a great sign of how good of an artist you are when you're being compared to such greats as Cypress Hill. Be real.
Thank you.
So shout out to you. All right. So now, I want to go back to talk about the album Real Music for Real People. So So, you know, if I'm not mistaken, in my research, that was released the same year as the West Story EP.
The West Side Story, we put it on digital platforms that year, the same year, but it actually came out prior. I believe it was, I'm bad with the date on it. It was right when I came back from tour with Ezak, with Danny Diablo. Shout outs to Danny Diablo, Scarhead, Crown of Thorns. Yeah, he kind of was just, when we came back, was like, yo, just get all the tracks you have and just piece it together and just put it out. And I'm like, all right. So I started slowly going to the studio in Jersey, and we recorded that probably like over the course of like a year and a half. And it came out a couple years prior to the West Side Story, but we just put it on the digital platform at the same time.
Okay, that makes sense then. So when I was listening to that album, I noticed it sounded a lot more lively and diverse, production-wise compared to the EP. Was that your plan, like, you know, from the start, when you're like, all right, I've got an album out, like I want to have it sounding more lively, more gargantuan than my other stuff? Was that your plan all along, or?
It was kind of freestyle, to be honest with you. It was a mixture of a bunch of different tracks that we had combined, but there was different production, different beats. A lot of those beats actually came from an earlier producer that I worked with, that I went to college with in the early 2000s. And we kind of just brought back that old school hip hop flavor.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed while listening to the album is that most of the songs are under 2 minutes long. So this would have been, I imagine, after you explained it just then, because of your freestyle nature, it was more loosely recorded than it was structured, correct?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it was kind of, it wasn't in a rush to get it out, but it was everything that was done. It was like a one take deal. Like I wrote it and went in and just kind of rapped it. But also, I think we kept the songs a little bit shorter because the album had so many tracks on it, and you know, people's attention spans are a lot shorter than they used to be.
Yeah, definitely. So like I was wondering, is there any not problems, but is there any difficulties or challenges like that artists face when trying to create an album that maybe isn't common knowledge that you can tell aspiring artists?
I believe the most difficult part as an independent hip hop artist is, you know, you're your own worst enemy, because a lot of people out there give up before the initial last step. Like right now, you know, it's been a lot on my plate because I'm recording multiple albums at the same time. But most people don't make it in the industry, or don't make it in the underground level or any level, because they give up at the last step. So I think it's more of a it's like a war inside your own head type of deal. You know, you're battling your own ego, your own, like, you want it to be perfect, and you want it sometimes, you know, you got to like put it down for a second and then listen to it later on. Cause I mean, I'm very judgmental of my own stuff, and I want it to be super perfect and you know, but it's gonna usually comes out how it's supposed to come out. You know, I believe like the hyper organic shit is the best stuff, to be honest with you. I feel like when artists try to over produce or you know, over edit too much stuff, it starts to lose the stickiness of the hip hop that and the organic flavor that things have. You know, it's just overproduced, oversampled. So I believe the hardest, most difficult part is, you know, just to deal with yourself and your own edits, and being a perfectionist. And sometimes you just got to record it, get your artwork, and just, you know, get it mixed and mastered and put it out and focus on the promotion more, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a very smart answer. I like that. And, you know, going back to the album, the other thing I noticed about your music in general, no matter what EP or album it is you have strong conviction and passion in your bars. Growing up, you know, all the way into your music career, were you always strong with words? Were you always a person that everyone stopped to listen to?
Yeah, when I was at a very young age, I used to sit on my grandparents' stoop in Irvington, New Jersey. It's super hood spot, like back in the day, it was a lot worse. And I would sit on the front porch and rap for the kids. And, always thinking back to Big Pun when he that interview where he said, like, you guys want to be better rappers, read the dictionary, like a couple pages a day. So I guess I was always good with words. I believe it's like words are an art form as well. It's an expression, but it's definitely an art form and how you articulate them in different sense.
Do you have any like favorite rappers who are more like? Do you have any like favorite poetic style rappers, lyricists?
Yeah. Some of my favorite poetic rappers, obviously Nas, Tupac, the whole old school Wu-Tang, the Genius Jizzle Liquid Swords. I always cross-reference that because that was one of my favorite albums growing up that made me want to rap. KRS-One.
Yeah, nice. They are great, great rappers, and they'll always be, I think, mentioned in GOAT statuses.
Yeah.
Artists. It's always those same names, well deserved too, but it's always those same names. All right, so fast forwarding to 2021, last year, you released a single that year. You released a single, "I Ain't Saying Nothing," and I want to talk about that song because it has it's the most unique instrumental choice of yours, I think, so far. What was the inspiration to that beat? Did you just hear it straight away and go, "I want that"?
Yeah, I met Monse through the homie Scent. Shout out to Scent. He used to work with Shape 45 Records. He's a very predominant graph writer, brother of mine. He said, "I got this kid, Monse, I want you to meet." So we went to Newark to the art studio and we were running through beats and he played me that beat. And I believe it was almost like an unfinished but finished product because he made everything on, organically on the keyboard with his computer. And I just heard something in it. It was almost punk rock, but like it was dumping pretty hard. And I was like, we're gonna start off the year this year. We're gonna do this song. And like, so we just recorded it and we put the video together and we just put it out.
How long did that song, like the writing lyrics side of it, how long did that take?
I think it took me like 5 to 10 minutes to write it, to be honest with you.
See,
sometimes it's just like that.
I was gonna say, like, it's really mind blowing to me because I'm cross referencing in my head. This happened a few years ago, but when the artist Young Thug, when he apparently said all his songs take less than an hour to write, and I'm thinking, okay, your shit's garbage. Like, fair enough, it takes an hour to write, but like, and then you have yours. Like, you tell me 10 minutes, and it's actually dope stuff. It's like that's crazy how you can think of stuff so quickly and so amazing at the same time. It's like, yeah, your work ethic's insane.
If you put too much energy into it and you think about it too much, then maybe it's not the right song. Maybe it's like something like that. It's like if there's a conviction there and it just comes out organically and it sounds dope. It sounds dope. It doesn't have to. There's no time frame or reference. And some songs I've worked on and made switches like on the spot. So I do that a lot. I'll show up to the studio, I'll have it written with the new producer I work with, Don Cheeger, from All the Smoke Studios. Shout out to him. I listen to what he says. He's worked with the likes of like Beanie Siegel. He's got a Grammy for a Ludacris track from early 2000s. He's very well thought process of, like, maybe you should change this one word or how you say it, stagger it out, give yourself a space, so I listen to people like him to, to build up my style as well too, go moving forward with the new shit that we're putting out.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And speaking of singles, we also have the song Too Many Blunts. Many Blunts. And, I'm pretty sure, the song title. Oh, true. The song title, and the subject matter is very self-explanatory, obviously, what it's about. But is there any background information you can give the audience about that song?
Yeah, Too Many Blunts is just a song we based off of my homie's brand. Shout outs to Gutter Christ. He's a brother I grew up with, young age. We used to drink 40s and smoke blunts. when I was a kid. You know, he's a couple years older than me, but we put that beat together with A Sharp. Shout outs to A Sharp from Crimson Twins, my other side project group. He was just, you know, he was wanting me to do a song for his brand, and I kind of just pieced it together organically. We found that beat. We went to the studio, we recorded it, and we put it out there. We made some good numbers. A lot of people like that track. It's more of a chill, like smoking type track. But I try to just, you know, cross reference different blunts and, you know, just keep it old school and real hip hop.
Nice. That reminds me, the other day I was listening to Cypress Hill Black Sunday.
Yeah,
that album, and it's like how revolutionary that was. I mean, not just sound, but like the weed references. You know, they just went full board.
No, they're huge pioneers of that. You know, worldwide, they've it's blown shit up.
Yeah, great. So one thing I want to ask you: are you very specific with who you feature with? Who you have on your tracks as features? Are you very meticulous?
Yeah. To be honest with you, usually the people that I feature on my tracks are people that I fuck with organically and people that are solid people. You know, I don't really feature people that I don't know too often, or it'll be a mutual friend or acquaintance. But yeah, the features just come into it's like how when you meet new people, you know, it's like if you vibe with them and you rock with them, you hang out with those people like when you're a kid, you know, like in the park, you play nice with that kid and then you hang out with them and you become friends, you know what I mean? But we the features recently are mostly like homies and brothers and people that I work with, some legendary people and that I've known for a while and others that I've just met along the way.
I do love that mentality. I love the old school mentality. It's awesome. So, you know, a question I want to ask you, because obviously through this interview, I've got the impression of how fast you write your songs and your verses. What is your opinion on producers like Dr. Dre, for example, who take years and years to make albums? Like that whole structure of music making. Do you have an opinion on people who take years to make albums opposed to like a short amount of time? Is there an opinion you have on that?
To be honest with you, I respect Dr. Dre 1,000%, and I think it's awesome people taking years to put out like masterpieces, you know. But I believe that, you know, tomorrow's not promised, and life is short in some sense, you know. With the look at the state of the world, and I don't mean to get all crazy, but it's, you know, you never know. So I personally believe that if it's organically when I'm writing, if it's taking me too long or too much of a time span to articulate the song and get it out, then it's just not the right song for me. And it's, you know, and there's been beats that I've sat on for a long time, but, you know, again, with everyone's attention spans and social media, you know, you're better off putting out singles and videos because you start to get lost. There's so many artists, there's millions of artists out there. So you're going to get lost, you know, in the jungle where you're going to lose your traction and your game. Cause this album that we're putting out with Stu Bang this took me probably the longest to make and sit down and go to and perfect it. But it's definitely some of the best shit I put out probably like in my lifespan. And then we have another album with the homie Chrome. So I was recording that as I was finishing up the other project.
Nice. And you know, as soon as those albums come out, I'll be there to review it. I can't wait. I'll be like refreshing my YouTube music.
Thank you.
Gonna be dope. I have a question. Do you have a current top 3 new school rappers that you just love the shit out of at the moment?
I'm trying to think. Like as far as like radio play, like that.
Just like any 2010 onward.
Shit. You know, I don't really favor too much of the newer rap. I mean, I'm drawing a blank right now, but there would probably be people that are, I'm close with, peers of mine, different people that I work with, like I'm a big fan of the people I work with, to be honest with you. I do listen to a lot of music, different sorts, but I'm usually writing and recording so much I don't focus in on too much of the newest stuff that's out, to be honest with you. But it's usually people I work with. I harness what they're doing, their energy, and I rock with it.
Nice. Again, just talking to you, I love your old school mentality, your conviction, your respect that you have. It's very lost. I mean, yeah, you can tell just by the state of hip hop or music in general, how that's lost on people. Everyone's all about the new and shiny thing, and they completely lose where they came from, who they're with.
It's sad. It's like a lost art. We were talking about this in the other interview that we did a couple of weeks ago, where it's almost, in some sense, the social media kind of destroyed the street factor of, walking up to somebody and handing them a CD. It's like you could be anybody who you want on the internet, and a lot of people know me from the hardcore scene, or from the hip hop scene, or from the street, and they know what I'm about and they know who I am. But it's like, on Instagram, you could just paint your picture and be like, oh, I'm this person. And they're really not that person. So I feel like the culture in general has lost a lot of its authenticity, maybe you could say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely a different time now, for better or for worse. It's a different time. So I was wondering, looking forward into your career, you just said you've got 2 projects coming out. Is there anything you can tell us before it comes out? Anything about it to get fans excited?
The Stu Bangers, Wes Nihil, Stu Bangers, Wicked Life of Crime. Is a 5-song EP coming out. We have Pace One featured on there. We dropped that video already. It's the Fresh Like Dougie. We dropped it a little bit earlier because this whole EP came together through the transition, and we put that track on there. So that was like a pre-released early video for this video. But we have Lord Goat from Nonfiction, Gore-Tex featured on that album, Berserk on that album, Chubby God on that album. It's dope. It's heavy hitting. It's very old school hip hop. We got a video being edited right now that we shot for one of the songs on the album. And the other album we have coming out is insane too. Shout out to Chrome Beats from DC. I got Danny Diablo on there. There's a lot of legendary. It's a hardcore hip hop sort of album. The other one we're putting out, and we're gonna have a bunch of videos laced up with that, and we got a bunch of new merch coming. We're starting to do a couple shows with Razor Blade Hand Grenade too, my hardcore band. So we got a couple of dates running up from Connecticut to Jersey to Brooklyn in the next couple months in June.
Wow, very busy guy, and like I said, I can't wait for these to come out. Is there a release date confirmed?
I'm shooting for mid-May right now with the Stu Bangers production. We're in the process of actually, it's mastered, it's ready to go. We're actually working on the album today. We're doing the cover art and popping in the lyrics, and it's going to be available as a physical copy with a digital download first, but I'll send it over to you. But you're gonna have to purchase it for the first month, the first 2 months. So you have to get the actual scan code to get it in. I just wanted to do something different. And the other album, I'm shooting for July, depending upon how the sessions go. Again, that's pretty much fully done too. I just have to finish up 2 or 3 more tracks, but it's dope. It's definitely like some real heavy hardcore hip hop shit.
Wow. Yeah, for both of them, I can't wait. And yeah, I'm sure all my viewers already know where to find my reviews at. And yeah, yours will be coming up soon. So it's gonna be exciting. All right. So before we finish this interview up, I have a question for you, which I ask all my interviewers, and you probably already know because I assume they would have sent you the questions. But the question I have for you is, what is the most underrated and overrated album of all time?
Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, Genius Chisel, Liquid Swords. I don't want to say that again, but you know, that album changed a lot of things and put so many people on the map. And it's strange how, to me, that people don't know a lot of this old, and it's definitely a resurgence coming, but with the old school hip hop. But that's to me, one of those albums.
Yeah, and overrated.
I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe in the hip hop realm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be any.
90% of the albums that are coming out with these new trap rappers, are like totally overrated because it's, I'm not speaking negative spells into the world, but it's a lot of it's just trashy. Like I can't even listen to it.
Yeah, there you go. Brutal honesty, which I respect.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for making time for me. I know we've been trying to do this for like a week now, and it's good to finally see.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the interview, brother.
No, it's all good. Well, I'll make sure to edit this straight away as soon as we finish here. And yeah, thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Much love and respect.
You too. Have a good one.